Are you sitting comfortably? We'll begin.
Saturday, May 17th. Welcome to Ukraine Update with the Shills, where Russian propaganda gets wrecked, fascists get roasted, and freedom gets the last word. And this week, President Zelensky is showing up for peace, while Putin's shitting in his pants in his bunker. Instead of facing Zelensky, Putin sent his jesters to Istanbul, led by a guy who once claimed the Russians are superior because they have an extra chromosome. Yeah. Apparently, brain damage is now a diplomatic strategy. Trump's brain is also suffering. Putin lies, bombs civilians, disrespects him, and Trump's still out here praising Russia. He's not just compromised, he's a cockblock to peace. But for those of us with a moral compass, know who the heroes are. They're not in bunkers, they're on the front lines of freedom. Remember, Putin doesn't escalate when we help Ukraine. He escalates when we don't. I'm Slavi, your co-host. Let's say hello to the host of the Shills. Hi, Dick. How's it going?
That was awesome. That was so good. It's going really good. I'm feeling patriotic today, so we rocking a little Molson Canadian on the home front here. And yeah, there's a few things I'm looking forward to getting into a little round table about as the news has been coming thick and fast.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot to talk about for sure. Before we go to the introductions, please make sure that you subscribe to all the channels we're streaming on the Shills, Yarchenko channel, and Rudy's Reacts channel as well. Please introduce yourself. Rudy, go ahead.
How's it going? My channel is Rudy's Reaction, and yeah, just glad to be here and talk about the madness that has been going on this past week. So, glad to be here.
I like how you describe that.
Right to the
It
point.
is. It's madness.
And next up, we have Commander McMillan. How's it going?
Pretty good. For those who don't already know, I'm a retired U.S. Navy commander, graduate of the Naval War College, U.S. Staff and Command College, and just generally have a lot of knowledge about military affairs.
That's
Yes,
putting it mildly. That's an understatement.
And I'm Slavi. I have a Yarchenko channel, and please join it. We fight Russian propaganda, we deal with news, and there's a new video coming out tomorrow. So make sure you tune in on Sunday. So I'm really excited for it.
Very much. Did Sakai get back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
So sorry, we have secular Sakai as well. I just have an owl.
All good. Yeah, I'm Secular Sakai. I've been busy lately, but wanted to hop on today. I run Tridents Against Tyrants. I do a lot of other stuff that involves helping troops out directly, humanitarian aid, talking to people in Washington D.C. and whatnot. And glad to be here. And that was my favorite intro ever. Slavi.
Yeah. Slavi does the intros on the show now, and well, you can see why.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff just writes itself, really. So not hard.
So we've also got Andrew Mikado is about to be joining us. He'll be sending folks over from his show as soon as he ends. And so you can see he's got a spot there, but he's not in it yet. But he'll be in it soon. News, information's goings on. Who wants to start where and with what? Anything, Slavi, that you had centered out you wanted to take us on first?
I mean, the main story of the week was, let me start from beginning. Putin proposed to meet with Zelensky face-to-face in Istanbul. Then Zelensky flipped the script. He was like, yeah, let's go. I'll meet you right now, me and you. And then Putin, of course, was like, no. And Trump was going to come as well. But then Putin's not coming, so Trump isn't coming. And then he's come. Yeah, it was a big mess. Instead, Putin sent his, as I said in the intro, low-level diplomats who are complete morons. And the meeting did happen, between one first meeting since 2022 between Russia and Ukraine. Nothing came of it. Surprise, surprise. And now Trump is talking to both Putin and Zelensky on Monday, I believe. Yeah, whenever Trump talks to Putin or there's, Russia, United States relations going on, that's when it gets really bad. And we basically have to start from zero because Trump starts repeating Russian propaganda, which he repeated it yesterday in his interview. He said the only reason why Russia didn't take over Kyiv was because of the mud. Yeah. Anyone but Ukraine,
He turns it into a fucking Johnny Cash song. If it wasn't for the mud and the blood and the beer.
It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
He talks to Witkoff, and Witkoff obviously is the go-to guy because he meets with Putin and the Kremlin. So obviously he's repeating all this propaganda that Russians want people to know and repeat it as well. So.
Yeah, I got an insider report. This is the first time any of you are going to hear this, but true fact that those survivalist type flashlights where you crank the little thing and you get a flashlight that works for about 30 seconds and then you do it some more. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It turns out that Trump thinks Putler works that way. So they get together and Trump gives them a little burr, 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 burr. And then, Putin responds for a second, gives him another little burr, 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 burr. And then he gets another response. It's a strange form of politics. I don't know.
Yeah.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah. I have a feeling that come Monday when they do talk, there's just going to be another delay, and Trump is going to give him cover and just make some excuse, and it's just like it feels like a never-ending cycle at this point.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing that gets me is the demands that are coming out from Russia are basically, we get everything we wanted, and that's our compromise position.
Yeah.
As far as quid pro quo, I've always thought of it as how many quids in Trump's bank account to maintain the status quo.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, like look at that one deal that just went down. Oh, yeah. No, they're fine. Oh, they're building me a Trump Tower, but that has nothing to do with the politics.
This is what Russians wanted from Ukraine. Neutral Ukraine, no foreign troops, weapons of mass destruction on Ukrainian soil, no reparations, mutual waiver of any claims for compensations for damages caused by the war, rights of Russian speakers. Ukraine must adopt European standards regarding the rights of minorities and put in, I mean, this is such bullshit. Recognition of territories. Ukraine should not claim and express constitutional objections to Russia. Regarding 5 Ukrainian regions, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporozhye, and Crimea. And one more. Condition of immediate ceasefire. Ukrainian troops must withdraw from all 5 regions claimed by Russia. They're not claimed by Russia.
They are claimed. They're just not fully occupied yet.
Yeah, it's man. Every time I hear about this shit, I just think, we could go into all the nitty-gritty details, but if your enemy who invades you then says, let's have a ceasefire and stop fighting, but don't have any friends who will actually come to your aid if there's ever another fight in the future. Oh, and also you don't get to have any nuclear weapons. That alone should tell everyone in the world it's just theater. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Now we do have exclusive footage of Vladimir Putler dictating these demands before they went out.
It does look like him.
Sounds like the bastard too.
The resemblance.
It looks more like more like Lavrov to me. But sorry.
No, that would be the other side.
Right?
Who knew a donkey was a double-edged sword?
Right?
The thing is, Russia is stalling on purpose. They don't want peace. They don't want any of this. They can't end the war, literally, because Russia is in wartime economy. If they stop the war, they collapse.
Yeah, they just need a little bit of a pause so they can regroup and reshuffle and try to finish the job. That's the only thing going on here. And they love this whole Trumpist approach to things because all they have to do is BS install and Trump goes, see, it's not a bad guy.
Yeah, many of the experts, like the International Strategic Warfare Studies Institute, they've basically said the Russians are incapable of mounting a significant or sustained offensive effort right now because their logistics are in such a mess.
Wow.
So the front is basically ground down to, trench warfare where nobody's moving the front.
Right.
Yeah.
They also, at the meetings, tried to exclude Turkey and the U.S. from the room. And but there was one good thing that came out of the meeting was that there will be an agreement on 1,000 POWs switched. So that's fantastic. I think.
We got to give a shout to Pope Bobby Leo there because one of his first things was denouncing Ukrainian children, the theft of and stuff. Got to give Bobby Leo a shout.
I love this Pope. He's great.
He's a cool cat, right? He's a good guy. Yeah. I like him. Oh,
go ahead.
Oh, I also like that he's a little bit more direct in speech and not so roundabout trying to please everybody. I like that he kind of just got to it and said, no, you're evil pricks, basically, right?
There was the media asking him questions, and as he was walking by, and then they're like, "Do you have any messages towards the United States?" He's like, "I got many."
Yeah. Yeah.
He can call you an evil prick, but he does it so nicely when he does it.
Yeah. With eloquence,
Voice of God. So technically it's God calling you prick.
Oh, that's funny. That's
Oh,
funny.
I really hope. There's been multiple things coming out, including there was a documentary that came out recently that's really focused on kind of a faith-based approach to getting some more support to Ukraine from abroad. Um, and I've been seeing a lot more of that lately. And I mean, ironic, I'm secular Sakai, but I really am thankful for that. It is very much needed to get bipartisan support from all aspects of
Yeah.
multiple countries, especially the US, to want to support Ukraine. And having a pope, having the head of the Catholic Church actually more in the pro-Ukraine camp, to me, it's just cherry on top. Yeah.
I'd like to, on the heels of that message, I'd like to say if you're in America and you're definitely a person of faith to the point where, you're definitely a Republican, you know what I'm saying? Nothing against that. I'm not, but you should pause and think to yourself in a real way. Is the modern Republican Party truly the party that represents your Christian beliefs and values, or are they just pandering to you to get your vote?
Yeah, they this party has realized that they could lie to everybody and not follow through on anything that they, promise or anything, because people will believe it. Then when it comes time to deliver on those promises, it doesn't matter because they're already in the office, they already have the position, whatever the case is. It's disgusting.
Yeah, man.
I think a lot of it is they rely so much on people voting for them fervently and ardently and being so heavily conservative that, well, of course you'll vote for us the next time. Otherwise, you just won't vote at all. And at least that's not another vote. Are you really going to vote for a Democrat ever? And at the end of the day, I hate the two-party system, but I really hate making voters feel like we're the only option you've got. You're never going to go to the other side. People do go back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Rudy.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, it's just I had to, I mean, I couldn't. I mean, this Republican Party currently is. I mean, they're just all scumbags, and nobody, has a spine to stand up for what.
I bet there are some decent Republicans still in the party, but they're afraid to stand up and be decent Republicans because they'll just be ousted as fast as they open their mouths, right?
My opinion has been not just here recently, like the recent history, but going all the way back a few decades. It's a lot of projection. Because, I mean, especially in the United States, more so than most countries, you hear a lot, and rightfully so, criticism of certain things when you go too far to the left, but to the point of demonizing anything, even if it's just barely center-left positions, to be like socialism, communism, evil, etc., etc. And I do believe that if you take socialism too far to the left, you can end up with a very oppressive system. But when you take capitalism too far to the right, you end up with what we're seing right now in America.
Well, I think there's a common thread there, Sakai, and it's too far. It's that whole thing. Absolute power corrupts, and so on. It seems to be a human condition that we've gotten to a point of we can't even find the compromise anymore, because it's just it's competitive for the sake of winning, not for the sake of doing the right thing now, right?
Yeah.
It's over. It's gone,
Precisely. Exactly.
It's crazy when you speak to right wingers, like as soon as you mention like anything democratic, it's like straight like attacking, and not attacking the policy itself. It's attacking either the person or or it's very like brain dead. Like if you want to talk about policy and argue about that, great, we need that discourse. But this, like, you hear Biden, it's like, oh, corruption, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay, but why don't you like him?
Yeah.
What did he do to you? What was his policy that you don't like? Okay, open border. Okay.
Yeah. Can you show me on this doll where the man touched you? Like, why is it so personal?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we could stay on this thread for forever, but I think we can just sum it up in one word: tribalism. I mean,
Yeah.
it really just does come down to a groupthink.
I think it's actually worse than basic tribalism, because it's a form of that's being deliberately exploited and amplified by the oligarchy to suit its own purposes. They understand that keeping the people divided and fighting each other over nothing means nobody's looking at the fact that they're one of the primary problems that everybody's having to face.
It's magician school 101, misdirection.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I guess going back to the topic of Ukraine, what else have we got to cover?
Well, Russia is planning for a summer offensive, besides this fake peace talks. Yeah.
I guess now that the mud isn't a problem. Such a stupid remark. I had to do it.
So and I had heard about that. I mean, what's the plan for replenishing everything that they've lost so far? I mean, I imagine they still have plenty, in reserves that they can deploy, but I mean, there's no way. It's summer's upon us. There's no way they're going to have a whole bunch of brand new manufacturing up and running within 2-3 months.
Yeah, no, but most of the new troops and that's the thing, is the offensive is going to be powered by a draft effort that brought about 120,000 new troops into the Russian military. They're basically being armed with leftovers that are filling old warehouses. I'm not kidding. They've run out of modern tanks, and they're now using ones that were designed in the 50s. That's a 70-year-old tank.
Yeah. That's like putting a rocket launcher on an old Willie's Jeep and heading out.
Yeah, to an extent. But and it sounds comical when we say this, but let's be honest, that 100 millimeter gun on that T-55 still causes lots of casualties. The fact that you can send 120,000 new troops armed with AKs across the fields to charge the Ukrainian trenches, they're going to cause casualties.
Yeah, and
the issue is that one side's measure of force application is the amount of munitions they're expending, and you watch that, the availability of 155 millimeter ammo to a large extent dictates how well the Ukrainians are doing at the front. For the Russians, it's simply how many more people we can throw into the meat grinder.
Yeah.
And nobody cares that they're killing off the bulk of an entire generation to support this idiotic war.
Yeah.
How much strain, this is a bigger picture question, how much strain can they really do before they legitimately do have another rebellion or revolution of some sort? Because, I mean, this is going to have, it's horrible for everyone, of course, but it's going to have a ripple effect on Russian society for generations to come.
You would think. The trouble is, historically speaking, the Russian masses are not the ones that rise up and demand change. The change comes from the hierarchy getting fed up with what's going on. So what we're really looking for is a pack of angry oligarchs who say, okay, we've given Vlad his time to try to do this thing and it hasn't worked. Now it's time to make him go away and put somebody else in this lot who can figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
They won't change the overall objective, but they'll change the leadership because they figure they have a better chance of getting what they want under a new leader.
Well, I
Hold on,
guess.
guys. Andrew's in. How's it going, Andrew? Oh, we're not hearing you. Hold on. Which one are you? Probably, yeah, that one. Okay. Look on your screen for a pop-up. It didn't grab your mic. There you go.
You hear me now?
Yeah, good. How you
Yeah.
doing, buddy?
Doing good. Didn't mean to interrupt. I was just listening back and forth with Commander and Sakai. But it's good to be back, you guys. I had to take a few weeks off of doing panels and reactions and analysis and all the others. It's just a lot to do frontline reporting and
Yep.
first reporting, and then also do everything else too. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
needed a break.
totally, man. Totally. Good to see you on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry, guys. Sakai, you wanted to jump in there?
Oh, shoot! I think I lost my train of thought there for a second.
I was wondering because I know I would have at that point.
You were talking about, you asked Commander about type of rebellion maybe.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Call Andrew.
So the last time we actually saw this happen was a rather unique situation in the 90s and early 2000s, but that was based around the Chechen, criminal underground, kind of, and underground rebellion movement that kind of came to the surface when the Chechen War started, and connections specifically to sophisticated resource disbursement allies, organizations abroad. So, I mean, that's a kind of a one-offer. I don't know if that even is something we would see in Dagestan, these days. So, I mean, what do you think? Is there some chance of something happening that disrupts outside of the Moscow and St. Petersburg oligarch circles?
I would not be surprised. In fact, there are indications, if you're reading all the news that's coming out, that there are, I won't call them uprisings, but certainly unrest in some of the regional areas, the non-Russian areas of the empire.
Yeah.
And they're being dealt with usually by, whoever, what's the guy? I can't think of his name, but the Czech.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Krasnov or something like that. I don't remember.
Kadyrov.
Kadyrov, yes, thank you. Anyway, those guys were really put in place not to provide troops to go fight in Ukraine. Their main role was to maintain order in their individual republics. And they're the ones that will be supplemented by MVD forces if things get out of hand.
Right.
And I don't think it will have a significant impact on the situation on the Ukrainian front unless something gets really, really big. And there's always a chance of that happening, but I'm not seeing any indications of that yet.
As long as Trump is president, you're not going to have any of that. If you had a different president in the United States that wasn't a puppet of Russia, you would the oligarchy that Commander was talking about might have gotten fed up with Putin and installed a different person eventually, because Russia was being fought against and their losses were like everybody could see them. Now, where the main news that we're hearing, like when Biden was president, we were hearing war news about Ukraine's successes, even Russian successes, whatever. We were hearing about the war. Now all we hear about is peace deals and peace talks that never go anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, we sanctioned Russia. Great.
And which everybody knew weren't going to go anywhere before they even talked about it.
literally like, so if you're hoping for a revolution in Russia or like the Russian people to rise up, that's never going to happen anyways. That was never ever going to happen. But like Commander's saying, the more accurate one, which would be the oligarchy and the power, like the patriots or whatever, the people that run the country behind the scenes, they would have removed Putin eventually because Ukraine was being supported militarily. They were inflicting defeats on Russia. Russia was taking losses that they needed to because there is no off-ramp of this. Russia's going to continue to attack Ukraine. The only off-ramp is defeat of Russia inside of Ukraine and then the crippling of their own country internally afterwards. But with Trump as president, none of this is going to happen. It's just not like you're going to like Trump and Putin are going to have a meeting on Monday And I bet, and this is my opinion, Trump's going to come out of that saying, I talked to Putin and he really is a good guy or whatever. And, he wants peace too. And I want peace, and nothing's going to come of it.
No.
Not a single thing. Not a single thing.
That's like a fart in the wind, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only reason Trump is pursuing any of this is because he's hoping for a peace prize.
That, and also votes and support, because unfortunately there's just a lot of people that support him and Ukraine at the same time. I don't know how they do that, but they do. And he's got to have some political safe space there too with that as well.
I think another part of it is now Trump doesn't know this because Trump doesn't know anything, in my opinion, but certain members of Trump's advisors are aware of the fact that for many, many reasons, the United States could never, and of course we know should never, cozy up directly to the Russian Federation. But there are some within Trump's circle who I think want to have constant news about him speaking with Putin, try to normalize that idea, because you have a split. You have a split among Trump supporters. Many, many, many support Ukraine, who also supported Trump. But you have that persistent, furthest to the right base that support Russia. And I think that there are some who would like to try to flip that one day. And I hope that never happens.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
I think it's already been flipped personally. I mean, MAGA controls the Republican Party. It'd be one thing if, like, there, in my opinion, like if there was a conservative movement or something that's like, hey, we're going to replace this MAGA thing with something more grounded. We'll still be conservative and we'll still have conservative values, but this MAGA thing is beyond the pale. And I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing people go left wing now, because like in America, we only really have the two choices, right? You have the other parties, but they don't mean anything really, honestly. You can vote for them, and that's your freedom to do so. And I do absolutely support that, because that's your democratic right to do so, and your freedom to do so. But like the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, are the only two that we can really choose from at this point. I do support more. I hope we do get more funding to other parties so they can be equally
sadly,
powerful.
Sadly, what's happening in Canada is our big third party, the NDP, are being severely marginalized down to the bottom because we're following your footsteps of us versus them.
Oh,
right?
Dick,
It's so bad.
Oh, to expand upon that point you just made, Dick, the NDP lost across the board in the rest of Canada, but they gained historically more than ever before in just one province. You know which one it is?
Yeah.
Alberta. And anyone who's keeping track, anyone who keeps track of Canada and U.S.-Canada relations, check out Alberta. It's a trip, man.
Yeah.
I like Bill. I like Bill from Alberta. Shout out to Bill.
Oh, dude, I lived in Calgary and in Edmonton, both for a time. During my musician days, I was through there lots, played all kinds of great gigs, and met a lot of really cool people. But those in power politically are very much on the right, and they're really dragging out the rhetoric right now, and it's not helpful. It's not helpful.
It's if there's any part of Canada that has the most MAGA infiltration right now politically, it would be Alberta, which is not a good thing.
That's because I remember the trucker protests, and and MAGA, and they like fed off of each other.
Dude,
and the politics,
dude. Yeah, you see the big pickup trucks, and they all have like mandate freedom stickers on them and shit. Like it's one step away from MAGA stickers, totally.
It's Canadian MAGA.
Yeah.
But when you see CPAC travel to all these other countries, that's what they're literally trying to do. It's kind of a weird one, because they fight globalism, but yet they're creating globalism with their right-wing fascism. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, for them, the word globalism is just a marketing term.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying they're doing what they're crying out about. Like they're doing that very action that they're saying. Oh, there's these globalists and they're controlling people. They're trying to. They're the ones that are injecting this fascist right-wing rhetoric all over the place. and
Right.
making MAGA and everything. Good thing they failed in Germany, but that AFD, for example, is like
I still haven't brushed the sweat off my brow, man, because I mean we saw Romania cast down that one guy, but then I think he's still very popular, very powerful there. And then we see I mean I'm still concerned about the AFD.
You
personally.
said I haven't brushed the sweat off my, and I was like, holy shit. And then he said brow. I was like, oh, okay.
This guy in Romania, his name is Paul Simeon. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it looks like he's gonna win, and that's pretty frightening.
No, the problem
Yeah.
the problem is governments are trying to contain this now, but they can't. It's grown too big. And unfortunately, I am deeply fearful we'll see the same thing in Germany we did in Romania, a temporary push back against it, which just then further strengthens the base that built up that far right movement, which eventually crashes down as a wave. And that's unfortunately, these are problems that have been building for a while, and it's accelerating.
Yeah. There's a few people in the chat. We got some Canadians in there. Oh, sorry, Commander. And they're talking about the NDP. I didn't mean to insinuate any dislike for them. They've usually got decent policies in the Canadians help Canadians way. They're not the party that wants to decimate, helping low-income families and stuff, that kind of thing,
Yeah. And my point before also was to point out that Alberta's got province politics that are furthest to the right, and that's why you see not the Liberals, but instead NDP are equally growing in popularity to the left.
But the funny thing is if you really dig into, we'll quit this whole Alberta focus here, but dive into it, and there's a few spots in the cities that are totally red liberal. It's interesting how that ends up happening.
Yeah. All right. So, what else have we got? Has anyone heard anything about? Oh, well, I guess we already talked about it. Trump is supposed to have a call with Putin on Monday, but
well, hold on. Let's do the call, Andrew. Any predictions of what will be announced by the media, but then the Trump media from this phone call with Putler on Monday?
Yeah, you're going to have the traditional MAGA media now, and the press secretary parrot, this was the greatest meeting ever, the best
huge
meeting.
Success, bigly.
There's never been a better meeting than this one.
This is a big one.
Peace is on the horizon. Any day now, we'll be there. Stick with us, trust us. We tell the truth and always. Jesus, believe us, or Jesus will punish you. Type messaging. And then nothing's gonna actually happen. It'll be nothing.
Yeah.
Like I just had a chat with Dylan Burns before this, and like Dylan said, what I think, the only thing that will make a move or like something move is if all three of them meet, like Trump, Zelensky, and Putin. And if they have a closed door meeting, that will be something to pay attention to. Anything Trump and Putin related, they're probably just going to be talking about the old parties and old times and Trump getting peed on or something. Like they're not even going to probably talk about Ukraine. Like I bet they don't even talk about it.
Well, speaking of Ukraine, let's do a couple of shout outs and make sure everybody knows what we're up to fundraising wise today as well. Because I realize we're almost 40 minutes in and we haven't even spoke of this. Our target for fundraising today is our buddy Britain Ukraine at the Ukraine Mission on YouTube. And he's been around to guest on the show, guest on other shows. You guys know who I'm talking about. Him and his unit are always looking for some extra help and, some funds they can spend on defending themselves and arming themselves. So there's our target for today. So all donations are very much appreciated. We always cover any transfer fees, so we make sure your money gets 100% to them. A couple of shout outs here. Petra Olson comes in with, why is that button doing that? There we go. 269 Swedish kroner donation with hugs to Ukraine and with some lovely flowing hearts thanks to Apple Computers BS. We'll send it right over. Thanks, Petra. And then why not a round of applause too? What am I thinking? Then we got Niles in sending out Shills memberships. Woo-hoo. Thanks, Niles. There's 10 of them too. So we've got 10 new. Now remember, at the end of the show, if you are the newest member to be gifted a membership, you get today's bar tab. So send me your address and whatnot, and I'll make sure to send it right off to you. We've also got Koala Stoner. I love it. Coming in with a Shill's Apprentice jump in, no less. Very cool. Thank you very much. Love to have new members around here. And you're probably going to fit in quite well. Now, so we've got our direct donation links up with that Ko-fi. Nobody knows how to say that. It turns out that they actually meant it to be pronounced coffee. They're literally just playing on Buy Me a Coffee, right?
Yeah, I always thought that that's what it is.
Yeah, I thought it was Ko-fi, you're paying a fee, but hi-fi, Ko-fi, sci-fi, I just couldn't figure it out. So we're just going to call it coffee now because that'll be a lot easier on my little pea brain.
The coffee with a K.
Yeah. I'll give it a little Boston, right? Yeah. So somebody came in with a coffee. But thanks, everybody. Huge thanks. Love and support is always welcome. So let's try to raise a few bucks for Brit and Ukraine there at the Ukraine mission and see if we can't help the unit out, because Brit finds himself in the frontline melee more often than not. So when supporting Brit and Ukraine, we're supporting somebody who's truly making orcs pay.
Also, really quick, I want to shout out our Cars for Ukraine fundraiser that we completed with the Shills and Rudy and many others. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, man, I was just going to turn to that. Good shout, Andrew. Look at that. 222,000 euros donated in. What a fundraiser, right, Andrew? That was awesome.
Oh, yeah, it was. Really good work, everybody. Thank you so much to everyone that contributed to it. And we like to be a part of those joint fundraisers.
Totally.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We've got, in a few weeks, we'll be starting another one with Car for Ukraine. It could be like 30 days or so. So I wanted to ask everybody in the live chat right now, what should we do in the interim before we do our next Car for Ukraine fundraiser? And so everybody in the live chat put in a suggestion for us. And what do you guys think here on the show, on the panel? What should we do? We got to have a target. We got to have a thing, right? We could do, we could grab a couple of channels and all partner up and do a quick NAFO truck.
I'd be down for that.
Right?
Yeah.
What about anything for drones? I think that would be cool.
That's what I was thinking. The drones are they need drones bad.
That's actually a good call there, Andrew. Hey, look here. Hold on. I'll get Canty all set up on the show here. One sec. He's in the green room. Hold on.
Not that green. Arguably, drones are best bang for the buck at this point.
Is that what we should do, you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe that's what we'll do. What is everybody in the live chat saying? Sorry, I'm just setting up Canty up here. And
I'm seeing drone campaign, drones.
Ukrainian made drones.
So I think everybody's coming to the idea that we should definitely do a boom boom.
Yeah. Speaking of drones, by the way, in Ukraine, now they have a point system for the drone operators. So if they take out a tank, they get 6 points. So it incentivizes drone operators to take out the orcs, which I think is really cool. Some people think it's inhumane, but Russia also has a point system when they take out civilians in Kherson. So, yeah.
Well, that's a great way to get the drones to the units that are actually doing stuff with them. You get the points by using your drones to get more drones. great system.
Yeah,
I like
think
that.
Brings up
Reinforces
the
success.
competitive side too.
It's like for new gear as well, whatever the unit needs. I think it's fun. I mean, people are saying it like it's gamifies war, but well,
no. I disagree there. It does not gamify war. It gamifies fundraising.
There you go. I like that spin.
I am the doctor.
How many points for missile corvette? Asking for a friend.
So yeah, here before a couple of shout outs, let's turn over to Canty. How's things going there? You know, I think you just literally rebuilt the backyard or something, or the roof. What you know, you've been struggling through, dude. What's going on?
Yeah, just a lot of projects that have been waiting for nicer weather. So trying to get home front taken care of and getting ready for my next trip to Ukraine.
When's that coming up?
September.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually got a wish list going and encouraging people to help pack my bag with medical supplies.
Cool.
Do you need a second hand with anything you're going to be doing over there? Because honestly, I've been needing to get a trip over there planned pretty soon as well.
Well, I'm going to try and restart the Give Again Ukraine thing I had going there. It was kind of fell apart when like the head person on the Ukraine side got a job.
Yeah.
So I got to try and recruit some people over there to give me a hand in doing that stuff again. So,
which city was that headquartered in?
Kremenchuk.
Okay, no, I don't have any contacts there. Okay, I'll keep an ear out for you.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on, sorry. It's one of the I'm getting the worst beer burps today, and I'm only just kind of sipping. You know, I'm not a carbonated water person, so when I first touch a beer, does it set me off?
Ginger beer.
Those words don't belong together.
Oh yes, they do. You've obviously never had a ginger beer.
I've had like the proper Jamaican ginger beers because a singer in my band for a time, his family was up from Jamaica, and it's just wrong on so many levels. But I maybe I'm not the best judge for that.
What is it? It's beer with ginger in it, or
it's beer made with ginger instead of hops.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's bitter, like beer. And ginger?
Think like ginger ale soda with alcohol.
Oh, well, that sounds good. I love ginger ale.
Okay. There we go.
I'll brew up a batch next time I'm brewing.
I'm just adding somebody extra to the show here. We got Chungus in. I just can't seem to figure out what I'm doing. So hold on a second.
We can go to questions in the meantime.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good idea.
All right. First, Commander Macmillan, our new Chancellor Merz, says he won't tell the public what weapons Germany sends to Ukraine. Am I right to assume that we'll know anyway if he sends Taurus eventually? Great question, by the way.
Yeah, I responded in the chat to it, but I'll say it here. It's increasingly difficult these days for militaries, countries to hide significant military weapon system transfers to other states. So if Taurus gets decided to be delivered to the Ukrainians, we'll know about it even if there isn't a formal announcement.
Right.
To some extent, this is done deliberately because it gives the government plausible deniability. They can say, no, we never told you we were giving Taurus missiles. Well, we have pictures of it. No, it's not ours. It's not ours. And this is important because long-range deep strike capable missiles and drones and such are a very touchy subject, particularly in Europe, because there's a sensibility that the more Russian targets deep in the interior, i.e., Moscow, St. Petersburg, further inland, whatever, the more those targets get engaged and the infrastructure in Russia gets damaged, the more likely it is that the Russians will become desperate and do something against the Europeans themselves rather than just confining their efforts to Ukraine. I'm not saying I think that's a valid fear, but that is a fear that's talked about quite a bit.
Right.
I have a question. Is the weapons that Ukraine gets made public, is it because of Russia, or is it a war rule in like Geneva Conventions or something?
I'm not sure I understand. Could you rephrase that?
All the artillery that Ukraine gets, it's all published, right?
Yeah.
And so is there a law to do this, or
No.
their countries are doing it because Russia wants them to?
No, it's more
I think
bragging rights.
Yeah, a lot of the countries are doing it because it suits domestic political purposes to say, look, we are helping Ukraine. We've just given them a dozen Caesar artillery systems and, 100,000 rounds of 155 ammo. It shows that they're helping, and it placates people who are urging them to do more. There's no requirement for them to necessarily do that on the international market to say, hey, we're giving this stuff to people.
And plus, you'd also have some weird inverse propaganda to where people or the enemy would go, wow, they're doing nothing to help Ukraine. Vote for this politician who will like do what Trump's doing and take all of Ukraine's. They would have done it anyways. Like even if Biden would have done nothing for Ukraine, they would have said, oh, Biden doesn't even support Ukraine, and neither did Obama, and Obama left Ukraine too. Whoa, wow, they hate Ukraine. And then you would have had MAGA supporting Ukraine. I bet they would have had propaganda form, and then it would have been completely upside down world that we're in.
Yeah.
When MERS said that we won't publish what we're sending to Ukraine, it was a big deal, and a lot of people said every country should do this. So,
there's concern that by telling the world we're giving them these systems, it gives the Russians kind of an edge to know what they're going to be facing. But honestly, the Russian intelligence services are good enough that they know what was going to be transferred anyway. So I don't see that is gaining any advantage to trying to keep it secret.
Well, I mean, Russia in a way kind of controls it because let's say how they controlled the one before MERS. They said if you give tourists to Ukraine, we're gonna do this to you. Like don't you dare. So Russia does kind of control the narrative because of published aid to Ukraine.
It's unfortunate but I think it goes to what Commander said. Like it's domestically politically important to do it. Like you have to, because unfortunately, we're in a great when we talk about Ukraine, we're in an awesome bubble of people that support Ukraine. But when you step out of it, you see how many people still need to be convinced, or like, what? There's a war happening, like, and you're like, how do you even not know there's? Because we're all involved heavily, but there always needs to be a constant like, why are we're helping Ukraine? Why? Or like, what is Ukraine? People still are even saying this, and it's crazy to think of, but it's just the reality of the situation. It's politically important domestically.
I hate to keep trotting it out every time this kind of topic comes up, but you got to go back to the old Clausewitzian maxim. War is politics carried out through violent means. And everybody thinks that referenced international diplomatic type politics. No, it's primarily domestic politics that drives that train.
Yep.
Let's take a moment here. We got Renegade Chungus in with us now as well. How's it going, buddy?
You're muted.
I am. Oh.
No, Chungus was.
Oh.
Let me check his. Oh, okay. Hold on. Chungus, check your screen. It's just requesting your microphone now. How's that? Yeah. Now you're in. How's it going?
I'm just recovering from last night's pub chat. A little hair of the dog.
Dude, me too, man. I had a couple of beers left in the fridge, but now I've had to switch to hard iced tea just to keep myself level, you know.
Yeah, I heard about fundraising, so I popped in. I wasn't gonna because I'm kind of brain dead today after last night, but yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a little fundraising for Britain, Ukraine, our buddy at the Ukraine mission there on YouTube. And speaking of which, I've got a few shout outs to do. So let's hit the boom boom button. Fuck this button, man. It's supposed to just tap and work, you know? First up, we've got Sarah with a $15 direct coffee donation with Best of Luck, Brett. All right. And then we have Big Boom. YOLO Swaggins comes in with the $50 donation. Slava Ukraine. Heroam Slava. That's going in the Brit Fund as well. Huge shout, YOLO. Thank you very much. Linda H follows it up with a $25 direct donation for Brett. Woo! All right. 3 in a row, fellow babies. Loving it. And then let me run through some super chat stuff here as well before we switch back into action. Dark Oblation comes in. I feel like a nympho as much as I want of FVP and FDT. You know, I do believe it. Raven comes in with, hey, Merc, super hearts. They're loving to see you on the channel, Merc. Look at that. We got Susan Melendi coming in for drones. Go through Brandon Mitchell. Hey, good idea. I happen to know the man. I will get in touch with him this evening. Ohms comes in. Oh, I'm on the shills. I'm dropping over to Slavi. Oh, okay. Look at that. We're fighting for views, Slavi.
Hey, at the end, it all goes into one reason, and it's Ukraine. So.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't call it a family around here for nothing. There's definitely no harm done. Nikki comes in. Starsky's fundraiser for drones. Oh, that's right. Starsky's got one going on right now. You know what? Maybe we'll just piggyback in on that one. I mean, we've known Starsky for a good time around here. That's for sure. That's a really good idea, Nikki. Nikki Hill there. And then Niles comes in with another 10 Shills memberships. Bounce, Mario, bounce, you little bitch. All right. Hey, I think I'm caught up. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much. We've got some good cash we can send to Brit already. And I think we'll throw it back into were we working on question time, Slavi?
Yes, we have a couple of more questions. Got a question from Kellen Dunn. What more Kremlin talking points will the orange turd vomit out of after talking to Putler, the Shills? So I guess it's an open question to you guys.
Oh.
It'll just be like we said, on the best peace deals ever. No one will make Biden could never, and that'll be it. And then something about Obama maybe, and then that's all we get.
When you're doing that
ceasefire deal ever, biggest ever.
Yeah, when Andrew says that, I'm hearing him in Stephen Colbert's voice. It'll be the best deal ever.
He loves the word big for some reason, and I just can't wrap my mind around why that's so important.
Compensation.
Well, there's only one thing big in his world, and it's not his pecker, it's his belly. So,
I'd say, I mean, the new propaganda on the street is when yesterday he said about the mud. So I wonder if there's going to be any other new narratives, or are we going to be talking about mud for the next couple of months?
Whatever it is that he starts hearing from the Russian side.
Yeah, from repeating
it.
If we're gonna talk mud, let's talk hashtag diaper Dawn and him evacuating himself since the apprentice.
Oh yes.
Oh, that depends.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Let me
Gives Rasputitsa a whole new meaning.
I want to jump in quick because I just want to play literally my favorite video that's ever been sent to me ever. And it's a great reminder of why A, we fundraise, and B, we call it the Boom Boom Fund.
Дякуємо Car for Ukraine та Бандеромобіль за організацію збору та підготовку авто. Дякую спільнотам The Shields, а також ATP Geopolitics за підтримку у зборах і самому Діку та Джонатану за активну підтримку. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
За рідну неньку! Постріл! Постріл! Постріл!
I love that video.
Hopefully that took out some Russians.
Oh man, just knowing people that your donations help put the shill's name on the side of a truck that is launching rockets at orcs. How satisfying is that? If that's not a reason to go and buy yourself a cheap bottle of wine and get properly shit-faced, I don't know what is, you know?
Oh, come on. We have to go for Mad Dog 2020.
Not the Mad Dog.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I want somebody to do a cost analysis study of whether it's more economical to buy one of those trucks and convert it to a rocket launcher, or to just buy old secondhand BM-21s off the arms market.
Oh. Here, let me bring up.
Because
Okay.
there's got to be a lot of those in circulation.
Yeah, here's a picture, right? You know,
That's the BM-21.
yeah. Sorry, let me get this picture up properly here.
I know the
It's
cost.
certainly,
I don't know about the
certainly
cost.
driving it is less comfortable. I'll go that far.
I wonder because it's surprising if like there's a few YouTuber automotive channels that are almost more engineering channels, and they have done military surplus purchases, and some of the prices on something like this, you have no idea how actually inexpensive that beast could be.
Oh yeah.
How much?
Yeah, you find some little Central American government that is, divesting themselves of some of their old ex-Soviet era equipment. You'd be amazed how little it costs.
You might find something like that for 15, 20,000 pounds, right? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Wow.
The truck itself is cheap, like the big truck, or
The whole kit and caboodle.
no?
That's a made-for-purpose rocket launching system. That's not a conversion of a truck.
Yeah.
So it's the system itself that would be probably costly, not the truck.
No, the whole thing is sold as is for, I'm guessing, between $20,000 to $25,000.
Yeah.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
a really good price.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
it is.
doubt. Now I don't know if engineering wise, maintenance wise, if there's going to be big costs, or we could get people involved to cut
It's
that
a
down.
Russian piece of engineering. Say no more.
Yeah, right. But it's interesting. But again, let me just bring where is
There's
it
a
here?
secondary question, which is one of end user agreements, because technically, that being a Russian system, Russia has to agree to allowing you to transfer it to somebody else.
I mean, rules
Yeah.
are made to be broken.
Yeah,
Yes, particularly with those countries.
yeah. But
Here, General, here's $100. You have perfect clearance for end user transfer, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
But you see what's going on. This is one of the Car for Ukraine conversions, and you see that back end of that truck. That's not just a pickup truck with a launcher on it. They've re-engineered the entire ass end of that truck, right?
Yeah, you have to. It's not something you can mount in the back of a pickup.
No way.
Take the whole back end of the truck off and convert it.
And it's surprising how cheap Car for Ukraine can do that, because the people involved in the engineering and the development of that rear truck system, they're not getting rich off of this. They're simply doing it because it must be done.
Yep.
I have a question because I mean, obviously, a lot of the time we focus on direct transfers and munitions, different systems, weapons from one nation state to another. In this case, to Ukraine for its defense. But with I guess with one nation in particular neighboring Ukraine, Poland, the Polish defense industry, how closed versus how open, how many commercial entities, how many new ventures are allowed to do business and, I don't know, create cost-effective, innovative, systems like this and benefit both countries?
That's a really good question, and I don't have an answer for you. I would expect most nations would regulate any kind of military hardware sales or development that was going on within their borders. So any transfer of said equipment to Ukraine would have to get official blessing from the Polish government. But yeah, I don't think that there would be any major obstacle from Poland, because we've already seen Poland's fairly good about providing support to Ukraine.
Well, and also they're looking for investments not just into Ukraine, but into themselves, because they're really pushing to be the new, military powerhouse of Western Europe, ideally in the future.
Poland?
Has anybody else seen the Polish border lined with dragon's teeth? I was seeing pictures of it online, and I wanted to know to what extent it is.
Poland, by the way,
I don't think it's the entire border, but
it's another country that has a huge right-wing push as well.
Yeah,
it's about 50-50 on Poland who support Ukraine. So it's
it is tenuous, the whole law and justice party situation. A lot of people are still very bitter from the last election in Poland on the right.
So the unplayed card in that calculation right now would be probably Belarus, I would imagine, having some say of what's going to happen with this war.
That's a good call.
They haven't really seemed to engage.
That's not far-fetched at all there, Chungus.
Yeah, and he's been playing a really interesting game of trying to look like he's supporting Putin and Russia, but at the same time kind of stymieing them in most of the maneuvers they're really trying to pull off by using Belarus. So it's interesting what he's doing. I'll just leave it at that.
I think when it comes to Lukashenko, it's mostly saving his own ass. Yeah. I think that there is probably very real concern among some in Belarusian circles that being too involved and being a full launching point at all times for the Russian military, not only does it open to them more and more to be a target, just like anywhere within Russia itself now, but also that it could speed up the inevitable goal. I really do believe is not for Belarus to indefinitely be a buffer state, but to at some point, if it's deemed feasible, reabsorb it into the empire officially, more so than it already basically is. And I think there are still some holdouts in the Belarusian government who might be fearful that that gets sped up if there's more involvement with the war right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think it also makes sense that Belarus is not currently under major sanctions. And so they're kind of a conduit. That's a conduit of sorts for the Russians to get foreign equipment, purchases.
The laundromat is open.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah. We have actually a question from Johnny C. Does anyone know what's happening in Kaliningrad and bordering areas? This is to the panel.
Can I just, before anybody answers, can I just say how good it is to have Slavy do the questions because she can pronounce this shit?
I think Kaliningrad's been pretty quiet. I mean, they're pretty small little, fraction of the country there. They've been really silent in this whole matter, and for good reasons. They're surrounded by NATO countries.
Yeah, Kaliningrad, unless there's some new breaking development I haven't heard of yet. I don't think that I don't think Russia has any major concerns of unrest within Kaliningrad or, an attack on Kaliningrad at this point.
If you guys want
to know, whoever question this is, let us know if you heard of any breaking news. Is that what you're asking? If not, then because I wasn't aware there's anything happening.
No, there is.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, there have been some independent sounding protests going on in Kaliningrad, East Prussia. They're not really a strong group. They don't have a lot of members, and the Russian security services are very robust in that little enclave. So I don't think Russia's particularly worried that anything's going to happen, and I'm sure they are cracking down fairly vigorously on any kind of, we'd like to go independent, we don't want to be part of Russia anymore, that kind of thing. But by and large, you have to realize that the population of that region is almost entirely, 80%, 85% ethnic Russian, because after the war, the entire German/Prussian population was forcibly migrated out to allow Russians to move in.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to get a whole lot of agitation for let's separate from Mother Russia, except economically there are some advantages for them to do so.
I will. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I will say that among those small groups that Commander's right, they're not very big. They aren't super influential. Several are members of a group that the Forum of the Free Nations of Post-Russia. So that's an example of, even in Kaliningrad, there's a lot of paranoia about separatism. And I don't know, if you want to learn more, just go check out that channel. They have details on like 20 or 30 different, small separatist movements across the Federation.
You want to go liberate Kaliningrad? There's a game coming out in June called Broken Arrow. It's an RTS. It's an RTS. You fight Russia, and the first mission is you liberate Kaliningrad and defeat Russians. So,
I'll get that one.
Yep, nice. I can't wait. It's NATO versus Russia, modern combat. So it's sick. I can't wait.
Nice. I have another question for the panel. Given the small gains in terrain and huge losses in lives for Russia, isn't it the best strategy for Ukraine to continue what they are doing unless there's a breakthrough? Sorry, I'm guessing a tech breakthrough.
No war is ever won by being on the defensive. You have to be on the offensive to compel your opponent to do what you're trying to do. So yes, it makes sense to a degree for the Ukrainians to remain on the defensive and continue to inflict horrendous losses on the Russians. But that's not going to be sufficient, at least at the current casualty rates, to compel Russia to seek an honest armistice.
I mean, Ukraine went onto offensive in Kursk and Belgorod.
Yeah,
as
but
well.
they don't.
But for limited gains and fairly signitigant losses themselves.
And they don't hold it now either. Like they don't hold the territory at this point. I'm not. I just did a map update today, and maybe tomorrow could be different. But I'm not seeing a lot of like you like the successes that Ukraine was having. I mean, they're holding in New York in Toretsk or near Toretsk, but it's getting bad in Pokrovsk, Kaliningrad, and Mykolaiv. That's why it's important to help Ukraine with drones. Right now, like we just talked to Dylan Burns. He's on the front lines. Everyone in Ukraine is preparing for a Russian offensive, to be honest, coming up here in the summer. We're not really hearing much about like Ukraine. Like Commander said, yes, Ukraine would have to go on an offensive. They did one in Kursk. They don't hold that now. So it's real. That's why I think Zelensky is even entertaining the mineral deals to begin with, or even talking about those, because of the situation on the front lines actually. So the only thing we can really do on our end is continue to help with the FPVs or the drone support and other efforts. But in terms of Ukrainian offensives and gaining ground, I'm just not seeing them right now. And then the ones that we did have are falling backwards at this time.
Shit.
There was a new offensive into Belgorod, though. This was after Kursk. We're just not hearing about that much.
It was.
Aren't they kind of
It was more of
coming
a raid
in
than
the
an
direction as
offensive.
well, aren't they?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, we had a latency hit there. We had two at once. Rudy, go.
Sorry.
No worries.
No, I was saying in the Kursk direction, aren't the Russians now kind of coming in on the Ukrainian side of the border?
Yeah, the fighting spilled into Ukraine actually.
Yeah, I thought I saw that too. Yeah.
In the Belgorod territory, yes, Ukraine's holding like some ground there, but there's no tactical, like there's no city. They're not holding a city in Belgorod. They can't. It's not like in Kursk where they had Suja as like a command point to like a rally to, and then and then branch out from there. That's what you really need. You need kind of like a sustainment point, or you need kind of like a command point, like Suja was. Now they don't have that, and in Belgorod they don't have that right now either.
Yeah, I agree. Belgorod's looking more like a feign to pull pressure off of the Pokrovsk direction to move troop movements, because it is hot down there. I have a buddy down there fighting near Pokrovsk, and the amount of drones that are in the air right now, the amount of aircraft down there, I'm saying their push is going to be for that direction during the summer. It's looking really bad down there.
You said Pokrovsk?
Yeah, he's near Pokrovsk, and there's drones everywhere flying all the time.
Yeah, that's what Dylan just said that too. He said like it was okay. I went to Pokrovsk and we had FPVs, but it was like out towards the front line more, not in the city. And right now they have drone swarms over the city. Like you can't. The Dylan tried. They said they tried to leave like 5 times and they couldn't leave. It took them a long time to even get out of there. Wow, and that's so sad because I've been there. I've been through those cities, Pokrovsk, Kaliningrad, and Mykolaiv. And yeah, the Russians are like they're doing a larger pincher movement around all 3 cities. They're trying to cut those 3 cities off from Kostyanivka and oh my goodness, what's the other city? Kostyanivka and Kramatorsk. Kostyanivka, Kramatorsk, Druzhdyivka. They're trying to cut that off, those 2 efforts off, and yeah, it's getting pretty dangerous, and we are looking at a Russian offensive coming up this summer. So, and if anything, the resiliency of this, and I don't know how else to say this other than just to be honest about it. If we have a Russian offensive, which it's looking like it, that will draw attention to the war again, and then we have to use this time, as shitty as that's going to be, while the Russians are on an offensive. That's when we got to bring more people into, hey, Ukraine's important. Look at what's happening. The Russians are gaining ground like significantly if this does happen, right? Yeah. It's looking like it will. Everybody I'm talking to, Chungus is talking to, we're hearing this. And we're going to have to utilize that time to bring more attention back to Ukraine. And it's shit that's what it takes. But we've seen that's what it takes for the past 3 years, unfortunately. Like the wave of people that just kind of came out to support Ukraine because it's morally right. We're all here still. I don't think we're getting that wave unless, unfortunately, some new Russian happens.
That's a great little piece to switch over to, Andrew, because we've got a few creators in this panel right now who are always on about Ukraine, spreading the message, fundraising, doing what they can. And I know for a fact that YouTube is not as friendly with spreading the Ukraine message as they were a couple of years ago. And I would like to say, like Chungus, you've got some experience on other platforms and whatnot as well. Do you find that in putting out content that's Ukraine based, you're fighting against the current of the algorithm, whereas like a couple of years ago you were in the current and it would just spread easier? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 1,000 times over, especially X. X is dead on Ukraine. You go on there, it's just a toxic wasteland.
Yeah.
There is no engagement. I used to get 70,000 views on a freaking meme video that I made. Now I get like 90,
Right.
And then I had a blue check mark for a while thinking this would boost fundraisers. It didn't do a damn thing. I don't think I made $10 on X during those Pisonki fundraiser. Most of it came from YouTube. Blue Sky helped a little. And then Threads actually came through. Threads was a pretty yeah. I heard Merck talking about it, and I started posting it on Threads, and I'm like, "Where's NAFO at? Where's my help?" Like, I'm about to leave this platform, and then Shy Girl Blushing, a NAFO fellow Felina over there, came through, and she's like, "Hey guys, Chungus needs help." I started donations through there, but fighting the algorithm, TikTok also. It seems like it's not that you're fighting the algorithm really on TikTok; it's that there's so many trolls, so many bots already. Like pre-planned. They've had a lot of time to figure this out.
Yeah,
like
man.
This is, you look up to the day of the invasion, nobody believed Russia would go in. Like the propaganda works.
I am a very critical thinker-minded person. Before doing all this shit, I used to debunk flat earthers and stuff. And I was one of those people saying, not going to happen, man.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, up to the day. I talking to my buddy yesterday about Trump, and he's like, man, I used to look up to the guy, because he was a successful businessman. I'm like, everybody's been fooled by this. We've all been fooled at some point in our lives. So getting other people out of it, like Mercado was saying, like Andrew was saying about, we're so educated in our little circle, and then we hear people say there's still a war going on. It's very frustrating, but and it also kind of shows that we are in sort of a support bubble, and we need to find ways to expand into other bubbles. Just last night, after I got completely obliterated on your pub chat, I threw up a Magic the Gathering stream. I could barely see straight, and I saw new people.
You got balls, man.
Oh my god! I saw new people in my chat, and I'm like, dude, I'm here to support Ukraine. I'm just playing a little Magic. They're like, that's cool, bro. Hey, we gotta stick together. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna tap into the Magic the Gathering and try to get some people over to support.
If you want a taste of what was going on last night, head over to our other channel at the Shills Live. We got liquored up, man.
The one thing I've learned about the last 5 years on social media, because I never did social media before 2020 or like.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, I had it, but it was like family and friends. Like I did not care to be an influencer. I did not care to be a YouTuber. Obviously, it was social media. They will shadow ban and block you. Like that happens. But traditionally, when you don't have that problem, it mirrors life, honestly. Like the algorithm on the internet mirrors life. Like when people are like, you have to utilize the wave of interest, right? There's always a wave of interest and then it goes away. This happens. You will never, ever have a situation in which you maintain the high peaks of interest at all times.
That's right.
You might have it for a while and you're like, oh, wow, yeah, this is good. But it will go away. And then you need to then either readjust, like Chungus said, you need to find new ways. Like on my gaming channel, for example, right? Like I play old games, but when the new games come out, I make sure I play those too, because I'll get new viewers. It's a guarantee. Like
that's right.
It's a new game. People are looking for it, and I will for sure gain new subscribers. It's the same thing with Ukraine. That's why I'm also trying to get more people that support Ukraine to show up to the protests in the United States against the Trump administration. If you go out there and there's people that go to the Minnesota protests and they have Ukrainian flags out there, and you see Ukrainian and Palestinian, but you see both flags in the crowd against the Trump administration. And that is one way that Ukraine and people that support Ukraine, in my opinion, can continue to keep it within the algorithm of life as well, also the internet. Because when I'm taking photos out there of the protests, guess what's in the photos? Ukrainian flags.
Yeah.
Or when I'm out there, so it's important. Like you can't just be like, oh, no one's interested in Ukraine. What the heck? They will if you utilize the high times, and that's why I'm unfortunate. Like when Trump and Putin have this meeting on Monday, that'll be an important time to talk about Ukraine, right? It's not going to be always like you might even be like, damn, like, oh man, no one cares about Ukraine anymore. That's not the case. The other thing that's important is you need to be first. That's why it sucks, because you got to be the first one. Like that's why people like Jake Bro and the other bigger channels, they will always be able to maintain a success on Ukraine because they were like the first ones to get in on the big wave and get a big following right away. Like they were able to build that infrastructure. So if you're trying to start Ukraine content now, or do influencing now, you're going to have a very hard time to do so, because again, you're battling, well, like me or like or like others. You have to utilize the times in which there's a wave of interest, and that's the only way you're going to be able to grow it. So Monday, do it. When if the Russian offensive comes, cover that, right? Because people will be interested then, and that's just the unfortunate reality of how algorithms and social media work. But also, it mirrors life a little bit, because
very much. You're
out there talking, like Chunky said, you're out there talking to people and they're like, hey, what war? Or like Russia and Ukraine are still fighting. And you're like, where are you? Under a rock?
Yeah.
But that's just how it works.
It correlates to what you see in mainstream media, in the press. You know, when the war started out, it was front page news, and then it went to page 2 and eventually migrated to the back page. And now you can't find anything about what's going on in Ukraine in most mainstream newspapers. But as you say, the Russians launch another major offensive or something, and then it'll appear in the news. And for smaller groups like us, it's all about capitalizing on that sudden renewed interest.
Yeah.
Yep. I think honestly, and I'm not going to try to defend the mainstream news for anything, because they're corporate owned and they can funnel money and promote anything they want at any point. Like if they want to promote something, they have the millions of dollars to do it today. However, it also does mirror the life algorithm a little bit of like people's interest in general. Like they're a money making corporation, right? If the public interest is not there anymore, they're not going to make money off of the news, unfortunately, right? That's that's how they work. And I'm not trying to make excuses for them. That's just the reality of like the situation of how it goes. But it also mirrors life. Like you go and talk to people outside that don't watch mainstream news. And again, I'm glad at these protests, I'm seeing some Ukrainian flags with it, but do that. You have to be involved. Like Ukraine, unfortunately, is not the number one issue right now. So bring it to the issues that are the number one issue.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, perfectly.
Okay.
Perfectly.
Right now on YouTube, it's actually pro-democracy channels. They're doing much better than right-wing. Like we have Midas Touch that's like doing amazing right now. So I think if you it's pretty easy to do. If you tie it into Ukraine and pro-democracy, like fighting, I think we're going to see a much bigger wave pretty soon for pro-democratic channels.
I absolutely
feel
agree.
like another thing.
Adam Mockler, Beasley.
Sure.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I felt like another thing that really hurt the engagement, and unfortunately, it's just part of humanity and the way we are, is when YouTube decided to change its policy on what we could show. When the explosions were happening, the bombs were going off, the engagement was higher, and that's just the human nature of people. People like seeing explosions and bombs. You can't air that shit anymore because you're gonna get policy violation, and that really hurt the amount of engagement as well. Unfortunately, it's a disgusting fact. I honestly, I don't like watching that shit anymore, but so many people do. Every time I do a little story post on my Facebook or on X or anything that has an explosion, I get more views.
Yeah,
that's why you have news that are called like ambulance chasers or whatever, like chasing the next like tragedy, because as human nature goes, that's peaking. People will just be piquing interest on that every single time. So it's like an algorithm hack you can do. But at the same time, like Chunga said, it's going to have are you the type of person that can do that and see death and just show destruction and react to that all the time? Like it's going to tear you down, but some people are savage out here and can do that.
Yeah, I had a tow truck job for one summer working on the highway in Ontario, and I showed up as the first person on a fatal accident. And as soon as that happened, I was like, you know what? I'll just work at the shop, the gas station, and the garage. I'm not doing this,
Yeah, Canty, you cover the drone footage. I'll cover Donald Trump pooping himself. We'll make a good team. Works for me.
Oh, I gotta go, guys. But this was really great, and I promise I will try to be here more often. Hopefully, come June, I'll be less drowning in work. All right.
Cool,
Save
buddy.
it.
Take it
No
easy,
problem.
man. All right. Let's see here. Okay. So we're out. What we got for time here? Hour and a half. Okay, so we got about half an hour. Where do we all want to take it next here? We've got a few shout outs we can do, but before I switch to shout outs, Slavy, any other questions we should get caught up with?
I just checked. We don't have any right now, except one, which was actually from Kanti. When will Russia run out of dirt bikes?
Oh, that's funny.
It's such a common troll message that, Russia has plenty of armor still. Yeah, if they had that much armor, why are they using dirt bikes for assaults?
Yeah.
donkey carts.
Yeah. It's like they're doing the Monty Python skit. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead.
No, the one I loved was, while doing the Cars for Ukraine fundraiser, why can't Ukraine buy their own cars and trucks? And why can't Russia buy their own body bags? Because we're sitting here fundraising for cars and you're fundraising for body bags.
Oh, man. So let me get caught up on a couple of shout outs here as well, because holy, you guys are doing awesome out there, fellow babies. Loving it. So if I rewind, I'm going to repeat one maybe, but I'm not sure. Who cares, right? We've got Linda H with $25 direct donation in for Brit, and that's using coffee. See, I can say it now. Isn't that amazing once you have a consensus? And then we've got Koala Stoner in with a coffee donation as well. Stay strong, brave defenders. Love it. And then Stephen Walsh comes in and just lays waste to the donation panel with not one, but two $50 direct coffee donations. That's $100 on the spot, direct from Stephen Walsh himself. Huge hearts out. And I think we'll throw that in the fund, shall we? Yeah. Awesome. And then we had a direct PayPal one in as well from John Webster. And that was nothing less than a $40 donation. And it says, for Britain's toys, Slava Ukraine. Heroam Slava. Love it, guys. I think I'm caught up. Am I caught up? So yeah, we've got a couple of big ones in there. Huge round of applause to everybody. Let me switch over to the YouTube scene now, shall I? Where am I here now? Let's see. I think I start with Niles giving out another 10 memberships. Oh, Lord, thunder and Jeebus, buddy. And then I think it's Martin Van Owen. I'm not really sure how I'd pronounce the last name, but it's nothing less than a $50 super chat. Slava Ukraine. Heroam Slava. Martin, wow, huge shout. Into the super pile it goes. And then Fred Bear comes in. Love the name. And he says, fuck yeah, I got $10 to help buy a rocket launcher. Yeah. Fred's the kind of guy that I can have a beer with. And then we got New coming in as a member, as a Shills Master. Boom. And then Jean-Marc Latiker comes in with a super chat as well. Carteroff is supposedly retiring during do to health? Any news? Well, what did he fall out of a fucking window? Because that's a way to die of health concerns in Russia. Anybody know? I'm not really sure myself.
I mean, he's been having health problems. Putin has been having health problems. We hear about it, but I swear these evil guys will live on till they're 200.
They're probably already clones of themselves. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, there's about 3 Putins, like all the Botox ones, and yeah, there's rumors that actual Putin is frozen in the fridge.
Just like a little glass full of sperm.
Must be kept next to Walt Disney.
Next to Stalin.
That's a different kind of preservation.
There's news coming through that Rubio says the Vatican could host a peace talk and praises the Holy See's role in the Ukraine. He says that both sides would be comfortable at doing it at the Vatican. I mean, I'm comfortable with it because this Pope is like very pro-Ukrainian. I just think Russia being comfortable with it, except it's on the Vatican because it's Vatican isn't a NATO territory country. So if it be on,
that's right.
Right. So
Vatican doesn't have an airport, so Putin could get arrested in Rome.
Wouldn't that be just terrible?
I'd like to see Bobby Leo, the Pope himself, stand up and say, you know, actually, I know Taekwondo, and just shit kick Putler on the spot.
I think Putin's like too much of a coward to risk it to go to the Vatican. I don't think he'd be that comfortable with it.
I don't think it would be good for Ukraine. I think Trump would be jealous, and then he would do something like cut off aid again and do other crazy things, cut off Starlink, because he wants to be the Pope. He wants to be Jesus. He wants to be the king of the world all in one.
Yeah.
I feel like the Pope taking the glory of ending the war is exactly what Trump does not want.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like having a mediator at all, it means both sides, or Ukraine, will have to give something up. So, and of course, it's not a victory at all if that happens.
Yeah. There's a side story to this story, and it's speculated by some that this is elements within the GOP trying to position Rubio to be a successor if they remove Trump.
Rub me the wrong way, yo? Are you kidding me?
No, it's because it's making him look rational and reasonable, and you know, the good kind of Republican is what they're trying to sell him as, because Vance doesn't have the gravitas and he's very unpopular with many in the party, so he's not going to get it. And they're saying if they invoke the 25th to get rid of Trump, possibly use Rubio to move into that slot. So that was the argument, was that the whole thing of him proposing, let's do it at the Vatican, was not so much trying to do anything about what's really happening in Ukraine. It's more about trying to orient him as a possible replacement.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a great take.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It also shows, dare I say, a slight turn of, I don't know if desperation is the term, but the thing with the Trump empire, the lieutenants underneath are, I don't think any of them has an ounce of respect within the system the way that Trump seems to, right?
Yeah. And he specifically selected many of those. I am convinced of this because they're
no threat.
That. They're no threat.
That's right.
They know they owe their positions 100% to Trump, so they will remain loyal.
Yeah, you remember when Vance was announced and he stands on stage and he goes, "Can you believe this? Here I am. This is amazing." Yeah. And he acted like a schoolgirl that was at a Green Day concert at the backstage,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of what's going on. Is the issue is Trump and his minions have imposed so much chaos on the system that the old guard are feeling increasingly uncomfortable about, how is this going to end up? Where are we going? It's just you change your plans from one day to the next. There's no logic to any of this. So they're getting increasingly frustrated and they're thinking, yeah, maybe we make him go away. All we have to do is figure out a way to retain the MAGA base. As long as we can keep them in our corner, it doesn't matter whether it's him or somebody else in the slot.
Well, speaking of this kind of talk, I want to go to protests a bit in America and how things are working that way. And Andrew, I wanted to turn to you on this because, you usually find yourself in the thick of it. Are you finding any Republicans, like lifelong Republicans, in these protests saying, you know what, I've switched? Like, is there any of that in the grassroots movement?
I'm sure they're in there, and they just aren't really vocal about it. There's people that have mentioned many times their first protest, but I mean, there could be people that are just liberal, maybe not so far left, but liberal, maybe center left that have never been to a protest as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's people that have mentioned it or like that they feel betrayed. But yeah, the protests so far I've seen, they're pretty wide ranging. Definitely like center left. It's center left. There's no right wing stuff really out there, but you got far left protests that I've been to, like that are pretty left wing, and then you have the more liberal ones that have like the Union out there and like have American flags there. But they're still like left leaning. But it's definitely, it'll grow as time goes on. Like the next big, like every month we have a big protest now. The next one's June 14th is the big one. I think that there'll be national protests. So I think they're going to keep doing that. There'll be little protests in between, but the real movement that'll pick up will be midterms next year.
Right. Okay.
In which we can flip the House or one of them. I don't think it'll be the Senate. I think we'll have the best chance at the House. That's usually how it goes, and then that'll really put a dent in Trump's agenda. Like if the Democratic Party can be smart, which is that's still a tough ask, but
hold on.
If they can have a good strategy here.
But let's address that just really quick. I do believe they've got a lot of smarts in there. They're just not playing the modern media game smart.
Yeah, they're being cringe when they do.
Gosh!
When they do it, too cringe.
Oh yeah.
So they got to figure it out. But if they can figure it out and they can just not vote for Trump's agenda, which that's what they should be doing. But the House alone will like stifle that, and like he won't be able to get bills passed. Like he can do all the executive orders he wants, none of it will get through.
A couple of quick shout outs.
Its own worst enemy.
Good call. Couple of quick shout outs here. Number one, I missed one from none other than Baltar, by your command. And it was a $50 direct shout out into the Boom Boom Fund. See, I can use two buttons at once. Isn't that good? See, not just a monkey. And then we've also got Demetria Ziganovas comes in with fuck Russia, suck Putler. Here. Let's make that one felt, shall we? That was a direct donation in as well. And then if I switch over here, where do I start? Oh, we got Just Me in. Hello, Just Me. If Trump finds out, he'll run Rubio with the base. I mean, Rubio, to me, he sounds like nothing more than a failed couch in J.D. Vance's backroom casting office,
I do feel a little better about Rubio because at least when he's lying, he knows that he's lying.
And he projects it very well.
Yeah, you can tell it all in his face because I remember him in 2014 even. He was doing Ukraine updates and everything. So like all this shit that he's repeating now, he knows he's lying. He knows it's the good guys is Ukraine and not Russia, like he says. But he does need to be, if he wants to position himself well, a little bit at least now.
The other thing too, I think that gave Rubio more of attention was when Obama was president, they did not help Ukraine. So it was like a political, number one, it was politically advantageous for him to be vocal about it. But also, I mean, yeah, it was an L from Obama and the Obama administration not helping Ukraine enough at the time. They didn't really have an interest in it. So it was kind of like a double-edged sword there where Rubio was okay, something I can grill Obama about. And also he ended up, was right to do so. But, now that he's in the Trump administration, where is this Rubio? And it just makes me question that, he was more likely, on the morally correct side in 2014 there. It was more political leaning than it was actual like his morals about it. And I think people are having a hard time with that because, again, you have seen Rubio be supportive of Ukraine in the past, and he was, and it was right to do. But why is that Rubio not exist now? Which makes me wonder if he was
because his lips are on the ring of doom.
Yeah.
It's because he's too busy hyperventilating, and I love watching him hyperventilate. It looks like he's having a birth contraction. He has no spine. He's a flip-flop grifter. And he went on a basis for a long time of having integrity in this moral high ground, and now obviously he has none. He's on the Trump administration, for crying out loud. The most corrupt administration this country has ever seen.
He makes Nixon look like a good guy that was just misunderstood.
Yeah, if Rubio had morals, he wouldn't even be on the Trump administration at all. He would have been like, no, thanks. I'll try. I'll probably be politically cooked. I'll be done, but at least I'll have my morals still. But no, Rubio has shown he just wants to stay in politics, which that means sell your morals out at this point to stay in the right wing.
If anything, being on Trump administration, I think for like his future career, he's politically cooked because he did align himself with Trump administration, but we'll see.
Yeah. I got a couple of shout outs to do here. And so Kaltenberg comes in with a $100 direct donation into coffee. You see, now that we've decided it's pronounced coffee, I haven't fucked it up once. And we got to give Kaltenberg a big shout out for that. So what do you guys think? Is this the appropriate button to hit?
You suck!
That's always an appropriate button to hit.
I think so too, Commander. I really do. So huge shout to Kaltenberg. Another explosion, another round of applause. And you know what? We're going to hit the donation horn with a big beef in volume. All right. Thank you so much, Kaltenberg. And then Mexigirl comes in with a $10 super coffee. I almost fucked it up there. For Britt, keeping up the good work. Oh, Britt, we've known quite a few defender heroes, soldiers in Ukraine, but Britt has literally almost been killed like 3 times since we've known him. And every time he just straps that shit on and goes back out there and makes some more orcs pay. So when you're fundraising for Brit, you're getting results for your money. Oh yeah. You could do a thing where when you fundraise for Brit, you could say that every $25 is worth 1 liter of orc blood spilled on the ground. I like that. It kind of makes a guy happy. I do have to look through my PayPal things because sometimes the direct donations through PayPal are slipping past me, and I'm trying to do my best. So I will switch over and try to figure that out and not miss anybody. Are there any what do we got for time here? I bet we got about 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Okay. Oh yeah. Any last questions we should get to, Slavi, before we start doing sign-offs and stuff?
Let me see. No. Wow, you guys are so quiet today.
Wow. You see, we're
Yeah.
answering their questions before their brains can even formulate them because that's what we do around here, right?
Yes.
Chungus, what do you think? Anything you want to sound off on and bring up as a topic before we round things out?
Yeah, I'm going to be tackling the mega churches here really soon. That's going to be a really good stream. We're going to have church with Chungus. I might do it tomorrow, but I've been gathering some crazy looking stuff online from some of these psycho mega churches and their shenanigans. It's really outrageous right now what's going on.
Sounds like so much fun.
I'm gonna go there. I'm going to be supporting Paige in Kansas for the next month. She's headed back to Ukraine. Mercado knows her. They've been to the Ukrainian Action Summit.
I want to get her on the show. Yes.
Yeah, I got a hold of her today. It was a little late when she got back to me. She's busy just like anybody. She's helping so much, I don't want to try to put more onto her than she wants to handle, but she'll tell me. I'm going to be helping her out for a while now. She's the one that helped me with my very first fundraiser when no one other than Mercado was shouting it out. So we're going to go for that for a while. That's all I got. Really.
Is it Mercado? Is that how we know you? Is that how that all comes together?
Probably.
Mercado,
yeah, absolutely.
The father YouTube person here.
yeah. That's we've got the anchor point, and it's all back to Andrew for sure.
All leads back. All roads lead back
for sure.
Now I know who to blame if anything goes wrong.
That's not fair. But he didn't know I was crazy when I was in his chat. Okay, until I got a camera. Now you guys know I'm nuts.
First time I met you, I was like, "Oh, pub chat, absolutely. I'm getting drunk with this guy."
Yeah, it's a good time. These guys are great. So I'm glad to have an awesome community that wants to branch out and do their own thing too.
Dude, Andrew, the whole Car for Ukraine thing has just been about as amazing as something could be, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's really cool. Especially right now, it's even for my channel, it's really hard to fundraise by myself. Mm-hmm. And again, I didn't build my channel to fundraise. I don't have a fundraising platform that an algorithm would help with that.
Right.
So it's kind of goes against the grain, but doing the joint fundraisers have been awesome to still help.
Yeah, I mean, we go through spots where we get a few $100 in, and then all of a sudden somebody throws in some big donations on our behalf, and then we're smaller again. And so being a part of this group that can collectively raise 220 some thousand euro and put out rocket trucks and medical evac trucks and the whole 9 yards, that's not a bad feeling. It helps a brother go to sleep and feel not bad about himself.
Absolutely. I think the drones idea is going to be very helpful and exciting as well.
Oh, yeah. So what do you guys think before we sign off? Should we do Starsky's drone thing exclusively, or should we also get Brandon in and then spread it evenly? I mean, either way, you've got drones going out, right? But if you focus, or what we could do is we could do one for Starsky, one for Brandon, one for Starsky, and just flip-flop back and forth every time we hit whatever the dollar value is.
I think it's a good idea to flip.
Yeah, because I know Brandon's about to be back on the channel. I'll be talking to him tomorrow, probably on next week with us, right? So,
Fantastic. And that live stream did really well.
Yeah.
So,
and this time we'll make sure that Brandon and Starsky go shirtless because it's all about the ladies around here. We did get some flack about that there wasn't enough skin on that show. We really did. It was funny. I love it. So, okay. Yeah. Oh,
so I thought YouTube would block it, any of that, because they don't like nudity.
They let people that need wide angle lenses do nude yoga. So,
Huh.
fisheye lens nude yoga.
Are you purposely trying to give me ideas for my next fundraiser?
Or I'll do it.
Yeah, by the time Canty and I are done, they're gonna have to pay us to put clothes back on.
They're
Hey,
gonna
that's an idea.
sumo. We're gonna get these two together to do sumo wrestling in bright pink thongs.
That already happens in the sex tunnel. You forgot the Jello.
There's actually a really famous Ukrainian sumo wrestler.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, and he's like the shape of a sumo wrestler, and he's in there with all the Japanese ones, and yeah.
How do you say fat guy in a diaper in Ukrainian?
I don't know. It's not something I say every day,
Yeah, I bet not.
I believe it's pronounced Trump.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming up on our wrap up time here. Slavy, why don't you take us around the table and see what everybody thinks?
All right. Well, let's go backwards. Chungus, do you have any final thoughts? And let us know where we can find you. And yeah.
I could barely think today after last night's pub chat, to tell you the truth. I just came on. I heard fundraising. I heard ideas. I'm like, I'm there. I'm going to give Paige in Kansas another plug. You can find me at Renegade Chungus on YouTube. I'll be covering a bunch of different topics, whatever comes to my mind. Brainstorm a lot. I really love doing interviews, so I'm going to focus on doing interviews with people. That's going to be a big part of what I do. Eventually, my gaming stream is going to come out. I'm going to branch off on that and make it separate. And then my Discord's coming up too. But yeah, Renegade Chungus, come over and give me some subs. Almost at 1,000 subs. So at that point, I'll be monetized. And yeah, it'll be cool. I want to do this full time. I'm never going to stop fundraising. Like I said before, there's going to be at least 100 years of mine cleanup, and then we got to rebuild cities. So I'm here to fundraise. No matter what I'm doing, I'll plug somebody.
Absolutely. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. Canty, any final thoughts and your mission and where we can find you?
Well, my channel's here on YouTube, Canty Luden. It's linked in chat. Should be. Mods are doing a great job with that, so thank you, mods. Well, I put it in our chat here, and I kind of wanted to point this out to everybody that Political just did a story saying Ukrainians have imported over 100,000 pickup trucks from Europe for the needs of Ukrainian armed forces. We're all part of that. That story's for all of us. So
yeah,
keep doing it, keep it up, keep supporting Ukraine.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much for that information. That's definitely something to be proud of. And it helps get rid of Russia. It is the cancer of Earth.
Oh,
of the universe. Yeah. Next up, Andrew. Any final thoughts? Your mission? Anything else?
Thank you guys for having me on again. It was a great discussion. You guys can find me on Mercado Media, on YouTube, Facebook, social media. I'm myself on social media, except for my media page on Facebook. Just covering protests. So I'm going to return to daily news reactions and updates, but most of my energy will be put towards covering the protests and IRL coverage and streams I can do. So thank you guys again for all the support.
Awesome. Always got a seat for you at the table on this show, buddy.
Appreciate
that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thanks so much for being here. Next up, we have Rudy Reacts. Any final, as he's sipping on his cup, any final thoughts?
No, it was a great show. It was a great panel. My channel is Rudy's Reaction. I just make content on, politics, and sometimes I go to the protests and on Ukraine, making fun of Russians, things like that. I'm also closing in on my first 1,000 subs too. So that'd be awesome if you go over there and subscribe. That'd be awesome. So I'm sure I'll see you guys here soon. So it's great.
Fantastic. Well done. Next up, Commander Macmillan. Any final thoughts?
I'll close as I do every week. Please keep the phone calls, emails, texts, cards, letters, faxes going to your elected officials to convince them that supporting Ukraine is important to you and to everybody. So if you keep the pressure on, we have more chance that aid will continue to flow.
Absolutely. You
Good
heard the
call,
man.
man.
Our work isn't done. If anything, we need to push the pedal more and more. So, yeah.
Good call. Let me get a couple of super chats in before Slavi and I send you off on a lovely afternoon. I hope you will have. Koala Stoner comes in and upgrades to the Shills Master. Yeah, Koala, good shout. Thank you very much. Awesome. Easy now with the applause. There we go. I think we're caught up with everybody. We had some killer big donators and supporters today. We had Stephen Walsh coming in huge, Carlton Berg coming in huge, Koala Stoner, ATV and Ham, Linda H, YOLO Swaggins, Sarah, Lex, ATV and Ham again. We got a big list of cool people today that are absolutely doing everything they can to make sure that democracy is the only answer and tyranny will be squashed like that stupid bug that won't get off your front step in the morning in spring because it's just a little too stupid. But yeah. And so huge thanks, everybody. Let me thank the team as well before we go. Over on Slavi's channel, we got some mods. She's going to shout them out. Over on Rudy's channel, we hope somebody's doing something and we'll shout them out. But here on the Shills, and I will say that our moderators set the mold for what moderators are supposed to be. I'm sure you've seen it in the live chat and you've felt it as well. We got Annette, Shayna Caldwell, PJ CNET, Chris Lundy, Mexi Girl, Carpazian, the AI Alchemist, Liam Wakefield, and of course, Super Chat Matt. Thanks, everybody. Slavi, what do you think?
Yeah, that was a great closing. There's a new video coming out tomorrow on channel Yurchenko, so please make sure you tune in tomorrow because I really need those views. They've been dropping like crazy. I'm actually getting less views right now than from when I just started on YouTube.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Guys,
yeah, but we're fighting we're like salmon swimming upstream on Ukraine content right now. We need the support for sure.
Absolutely. So yeah, so that's a wrap on this week's Ukraine update. Massive thanks to our incredible panel for their insight, fire, and commitment to the truth. Thank you to the mods on channel Yurchenko, Custom Clothing, and Tim Moments. Thank you so much for getting rid of the trolls that we had
those
today.
sons of bitches down.
Right. And thank you to the team in the background. And thank you to everyone watching live or on replay. You're not just viewers, you're part of the resistance. If you found value in today's stream, subscribe to every creator here. Hit like, drop a comment, share this video or any of our videos. Support us however you can, because in a world of propaganda and algorithm games, your support is our social currency. We're not corporate media. We're independent voices fighting to keep Ukraine and democracy on the front page. And that takes time, energy, and community. So donate if you're able, share if you're inspired, and most of all, stay loud. Because Ukraine isn't just fighting for its borders. It's fighting for every one of us who believes in freedom, truth, and the right to exist without tyranny. So on that note, God bless America and Slava Ukraini.
Heroes Slava. You heard the woman. Get busy, people.
It's over. Go home. Go.